Welcome to the Gigi Lounge podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Drea.
And Gladys.
We will be covering beauty, business, and real talk.
We will have special guests like our instructors and business owners joining us and our students sharing their experience.
Thank you for joining us. Make sure to subscribe for new. Hi guys, welcome back to the Gigi Lounge podcast. I am your host, Drea,
And Gladys.
and we have a special guest
Gianna. Say hi, Gianna. Hi.
over there to the camera.
Say hi. Yeah.
So, welcome, Gianna. How does it feel to be our first smallest guest? Tell us. Oh, she wants to sit down. So today we're gonna talk about motherhood and business. And so Gladys, tell us a little bit about motherhood.
I'm still trying to adjust and I'm still trying to learn. I think motherhood is not something you come with instructions. You just kind of like take the leap of faith and, follow your guts.
So how do you juggle having a business and being a full-time mother as well? How many kids do you have?
I have two. This is my oldest one. And this is her Nina.
Yes.
And I have another one, which is 11 months. She's at home. She's with my other sister. And before anything, like I feel like starting a business at the same time, planning to have babies was something that I wasn't prepared for to do so. We're gonna let her go. She'll be back. Okay, go play.
Here you go. Let me give her this. Let me give her the phone. Yeah,
So she's
tell
gonna
us
be a
more.
little bit more behind the scene because she's a boss like her mom. She has the personality as myself. I feel like she's a lot of like I see Jana and I see myself. So sometimes I just laugh when I'm like, oh God, I'm the same way.
Yes.
Right now she's behind and she wants to see
Bingo.
bingo. She's obsessed with Bluey. A little bit more like about motherhood. I don't want to go too much into this subject, but I feel like when Andrea and I, we really didn't tell like deep our story when we did our introduction because it was briefly talking about why we wanted to do a podcast and all that. But now that we're here and I'm like, I have time, when we decided to do Glaglam 2016, it was just hobby. It was just like, okay, let's do something for fun. Later did we know that this was gonna turn into a business. Andrea residing, and at the same time, it's been so many things. It's been a roller
roller
coaster,
coaster.
but I feel like we just
I was just talking about, we started a business and sometimes you have to take risk and sacrifice in order for things to get better. But also a business doesn't come with instructions. It's kind of like the same thing as motherhood.
yeah, I think so. Um, right now I'm so out of
So
it.
Gladys right now, she's in her busy season. She has a lot going
No.
on. And
But I mean, let's relax. Estamos aquí, También vamos a hacer este podcast in Spanish. I think that's like a big audience that we have. So vamos a hacer algo más con special guests and, hablar más en español para la audiencia que habla español. Pero ahorita
Sí.
la de hoy va a ser en inglés. Going back to our how we started, honestly, we just started. If you have an idea, I just start. One of the things that I think that made us successful, well, I want to say successful because I feel like going back and looking into how we started and how we are now, I mean, it didn't happen overnight and it didn't happen in a year. This is going to be our 7th year with Black Lab?
yes,
Yes.
it
And
already is our
It
seventh
is
year.
our 7th year on September 20. That's when we launched the website, and I believe we got our first sale October.
Yes, for Marie.
Maria Sanchez. And when we got our first sale, I think like people were not even buying things online because we had like our shipping prices so high. I think it was like $20, something
A
like
lot
that.
of things were like trial and error, and we
Yeah.
just didn't know anything
Yeah.
pretty much.
And then we finally figured out how to like lower the price, how to like figure it out where we were not like underpaying ourselves, but like being fair. But we did started with our pop up at home. And why am I saying all this? Because when we started the business, I wasn't even married, and having kids were not even in my mind. I got married 2019, and that's when we had our lashes already. And I think we were going more into the cosmetic area versus going into accessories. So I got married August 2019.
You don't even
I
know,
don't
girl.
even know. No me celebra mi aniversario, por eso no es
Oh,
cierto.
por eso.
2019, and I remember like not even the beginning of 2020, but like December, we got
Oh. And that is the reality of being a parent.
we got a offer, not
Yeah.
offer like a negotiation to like partner up with another school, and honestly, that back then I was like, okay, I'm a newlywed, like I'm just getting started. The insurance business is going well, so it wasn't in our plans at all. You were okay with your working at Collectum, all right?
I don't want them to know where I
Oh,
worked.
let's crop that. Um,
I was okay with my full time job. You know, I was comfortable, but in the back of my head, I mean, you always, if you start a business, you want your business to succeed, and eventually you want to do that full time. So I think I always had that like in the back of my head, like, okay, I need to be self employed, because when you do work for somebody, you get to a point where you get stuck. So I was pretty stuck, and I wasn't moving, I wasn't growing. So I was like, what do I do? But that was just in the back of my head. And I was gonna be 30 in 2020, so I was like,
we
by
already
30.
kind of like talked about that in the first one. I think you already
No, we
said a
didn't
little
talk
bit.
about that.
Yes,
That's the
we
one
did.
that we didn't make.
Oh, no. So yeah, we did.
No.
We did. Rachel, like we did talk about where she used to work.
For the one that we uploaded?
Uh huh.
No,
I don't remember.
no, we didn't.
But we did talk about you being on your own, that you quit.
No.
No?
We just talked about the podcast.
Oh, yeah, because it was like. It
Gale-
was when you had to
tienes-
go to LA.
Oh, okay.
Lipstick in your teeth.
Okay. So going back.
Yeah.
So we're gonna tell you guys a little bit more about everything in general. I think like honestly this wasn't planned. We just like decided, okay, we're just need to continue with what we're doing because it's so hard to have. We're gonna have a lot of special guests, but sometimes it's not gonna happen when we want. So that's why we decided to just like throw this episode.
Yes.
Yeah. So Andrea, she's gonna say a little bit of a harsh. I mean, we're going back to 2016. We decided to do Glad Glam. It happened out of an idea. Now we're here, 2023, and I feel like one of the things that we really don't talk and we really don't like share is like a little bit of our personal life. I feel like Glad Glam was created on the worst time of our life.
Yes.
As the accessories, the it's the school as well, the academy, and the reason why we want to share a little bit more of that is because I feel like a lot of people are waiting for the perfect moment. If we were be mentally ready then, I think it would never happen.
No.
You want to add anything to that?
That I'm 100% true. I'm 100%. That's 100% true. Yeah. Honestly, if you wait for the right moment, like, hey, I'm gonna wait until I have the money or until I have everything, then you're never gonna do it because you're gonna be too comfortable.
If you were asked, like, if you were talked to the Andrea 2016 to the Andrea that you're now, would you think this is like you were living this?
No.
No. Why was one of the things?
So my mentality then, I don't know. I was young and dumb, honestly. And I don't know, I guess I thought because Instagram was also new, it didn't have that many years. I think it launched like in 2013. So I thought, oh my God, I'm going to blow up. I'm going to become an influencer. I'm going to be rich. I don't know. I used to think
But
that.
because back then, 2013, we started with fitness. We were like on our best shape of our life. We met some influencers. Like right now, she's probably like over millions of followers. But when we met her, she was big, but not like as big as now. And we did a treatment with her, and we did a weight loss. We did like a before and after picture. It was a drastic change. So a lot of people were like, "Oh my God!" Like And I remember back then we were getting a lot of followers, and we went private because we got that
We
panic.
didn't know how to react.
Yes.
Because we've met me and Gladys. I mean, before I used to be more like an attention seeker when I was younger, but then I you could tell that I guess I changed. I guess you could say that. So now we're very private.
But when that happened, I think we didn't know how to react with like so many people like following us. Because honestly, she published our like before and after. I remember Bella Facconi. If you Google her or search her in Instagram, she's big. We even had a personal call from her, like, "Oh my God, can I share your story?" And we're like, "Sure." And as soon as she did, we blew. But it was her personal page. We had no
Yeah.
business. We had nothing. And me and Dre just panicked. We're like, we want to go private. This is too much. We don't want our tios to see this. And it wasn't nothing crazy. It was
no,
like
it was
actually
just a
really good.
transformation. Yeah.
And then, I mean, things happen. When
Yeah.
once you open a business, you are under a lot of stress because, I mean, you have a life, you have personal things, you need to pay rent. Now it's bigger than when it was when we were like doing it at 2016. But I feel like a lot of stress, and like I said, we opened this business in the worst time of our life. We didn't have the resources or the money, and we still did it. Moving forward to 2020, when we decided to do the Glam Makeup Academy, I remember when they offer what we like what do you call
Partnership.
partnership. I was like, where are we gonna come up with that money? You know what I mean? I was like, it's impossible. And at the same time, I was like, Dre, I'm newlywed. I want to get out of my house, buy a home, because obviously my mentality always been like, if I'm gonna get out of the house, it's because I'm gonna buy, not because I'm gonna rent. But everybody's different. Thankfully, we have a home that's pretty big to be able to continue supporting my mom in that aspect. And then when we said we started Glad Glam our toughest time, 2016, 17, my dad left to Mexico. So technically, we always been like,
The backbone. We're there to support my mom financially. And
but I
help.
feel like we also grew up with having a mom and a dad, and we never expected
Oh,
like
girl.
this drastic change of out of a sudden, like your dad lives in Mexico and you're here trying to figure it out, what's next.
Exactly.
And that's when Andrea it really hit her, and she went probably on the darkest time of her life, where she was like, oh my God, like it's just us. Even though we're older and we're like, but I
I
mean,
think you just. I think it doesn't matter how old you are. You're always gonna need your parents.
yeah.
And I guess it was just that I just fell into like a very deep dark depression, and it was bad. So what we did is like we promised each other, hey, no matter what we go through, because I'm an emotional person. Like just talking about this, my eyes got watery. But we always said, no matter what we go through, no matter what's going on behind closed doors, we always need to post on social media, and people don't need to know what we're going through, and we're gonna be positive. So that was like our motto. Like that, there was days where we would give up on each other. There was days where we would have
Oh
a
my God,
disagreement.
Jana, stop. Yes, sorry.
And yeah,
Yeah. And not only that, I feel like I'm more stronger and that, like for me, I hide my emotions. Andrea will cry and made a big deal. I would go to the office, and I remember back then I had an office no, we started from our garage, and then we changed it to the office. And I would just work. That was like my focus. That was my thing, and that's how I block my emotions. I'm like, you know what? If I stay home, cry about it, or like, stress about it, nothing's gonna happen.
the thing with me is like I'm gonna be in bed for like 3 days and be in my feelings, and then Gladys is gonna have to come and be like, get up, Drea. Like literally, like with me, that's just how I am. Like I'm gonna cry about it first, and then I'm gonna get it done.
And me, I'll block it. I'll be like, okay, it is what it is. I'm gonna focus on work, and maybe that way I won't like show my emotions. And that's what I did. And I mean, and that's how Glaglan was born.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then 2020, going back to 2020, we did this contract. Boom, COVID happened. What happens? We
We're
closed.
shut down.
Shut down. like a month or like few days before like paying half of the deposit that we're supposed to pay, I was like, if it happens, it happens. If this is for us, it's gonna happen. If it's not for us, let's move on, carry on. I believe that sometimes, you need to do a mistake. And Andrea was like, no, honey, I resign.
I didn't have any source of income. Everything was COVID is like a whole different subject, but everything was so new. None of us knew what was happening. We didn't know if we were gonna stay open or close. So I needed to do something. I needed to hustle. I needed to. So I did start my apparel brand, but in the back of my head, I'm like, I gotta make sure that the school survives. And it was like a promise that I made to myself that I was gonna work really hard and not let like the business go down.
And also going back, we always opened the business at the worst time of her life. She wasn't in the best shape of her life, so
No,
like
ma'am.
even I was her first biggest critique because I'm like, Andrea, you want to sell fajas? You need to have the body, because sadly that's how we're like social media. I mean, society, society. How can I even say
Honestly,
it?
I think at the time because everybody was home, I was like at my biggest. I mean, I'm still not skinny, and my body fluctuates depending on my stress, and I've learned to live with it, honestly. And I'm no longer hiding from it. But at the time, I felt like I was so under pressure because I felt like I needed to have the perfect body to sell an apparel brand. So I would go to boot camp. I was buying meal preps. I was waking up at 5 in the morning to work out, but I wasn't losing the weight because I was so under pressure. And I did get a few critiques of people saying that I got body shamed, and that I I wasn't representing the brand because I wasn't in shape. But I always wanted that brand to be for all shapes and sizes because society doesn't show that. They Society wants you to be perfect and have the perfect body, but reality is I've always been the type of person that I want it real and authentic versus fake and saturated.
Yeah, and then after throwing my comment because I'm like she's gonna hear it from other people. My walk, it's
Might
always
as well make her feel bad now.
no, it's not that. It's like sometimes like I'm really straight out with her and I tell her how it is and but we'll show you a screenshot. But like I was like, wait a minute, Andrea, this was our dream. That was your dream. I was into the fitness journey
Why
because
do you
of
have
her.
to put my picture there?
But
Girl.
going back to 2012, I mean, I still have an Instagram, and we have like our before and after there. Like when we used to do that, I'm like, you know what? Let's not give up because, we didn't continue that. So 2012, that's when we had that page, and Andrea always had the dream behind her head. So like, you know what? Do it because that's gonna help you with.
I remember
getting
you
on.
told me you need to do something for yourself
Yeah.
because the school is both of us. I'm not like a one owner, you know?
And not only that, but at the same time, I was like, you know what? If that's your dream, if you want to proceed that, go for it. And maybe that's gonna be like
Your motivation.
your motivation. You're gonna start. But I mean, with the school, things didn't happen the way we wanted them to happen. And honestly, no regrets at that moment. We were really stressful, and we were like thinking like a lot of things. But like around April 2020, I got pregnant with my first pregnancy. So I just like left everything behind. I told Andre, you know what? I don't want to know anything about anything. If we cannot open, it's okay. I'm gonna be a mom. Going back to motherhood, the subject, and Andrea deal with the stress herself. She deal with everything on her own. And I clearly remember August 2020 when we finally got like the green light. Like we cut contracts with whoever was our partner. I'm not gonna say names because it doesn't matter. But at the end, when she released us, and she's like, "Okay, fine, keep the school," because I mean, a lot of things went down. Trying to, I mean, we trusted someone we thought we knew, and I mean, it's not
That's
really
why it's
her
so
fault.
important. It's not her fault. That's what's so important to read what you're getting into. And sometimes you get a little bit of pressure to sign things, but honestly, always seek professional help. Like
Yeah.
seek an attorney. Even though the the project is too good to be true, and you're like, oh my god, I know the potential that the place could have, and you believe in something. Always prepare yourself because sometimes obviously you have to be hopeful and you have to have some sort of hope, and that's why you have to move forward. But also know the legal, because dealing with attorneys
Yeah,
and
because
all that
once
is
we
not
signed
cute.
up and we're like, this school
Going down.
is going down. It's not like what they thought. I mean, what they told us it was. I mean, yeah, the numbers were there a few years ago, but not at the moment. So I was like, we picked something that technically we had it to start from start.
Yeah.
And I remember having like a lot of pressure from students when I was gonna open, da da da. But I mean, I was pregnant, so I was like, you know
With her
what,
first
I don't,
baby.
I don't want to deal with this. You know, if she doesn't care for like dealing, showing a face and talking to her students that were not even ours yet, I mean, why would I? But we always have the big heart. It was like, you know what, if they already pay, if they're already like um, trying to finish, if we open, we're gonna let them finish. So the day that we opened the school, that's the day that I was like, um, I was in the back of the office, and I was like, you know, too much information, but I was like, I started spotting, and I told myself, you know what, I'm okay, I'm okay. You know, it happened in my first trimester, but maybe something like, you know, it's gonna happen because I was already 20 weeks. So, going back, I was already 20 weeks, so I was like, I already got out of the danger zone. But with pregnancy,
Because you already had your gender reveal.
I had my gender
everything.
reveal. I had like my test to see if the baby was like
Normal.
normal or with any. Vente. Yeah. And then, you know, I was in school first day, you know, that we opened. At the transition of reopening the school, a lot of our staff just that the other school had didn't care to continue with us because, I mean, it was COVID. Like for them was like, I don't want to put myself in danger because I have family members at home. Because it was a thing like you didn't know what's gonna happen.
No, you really didn't.
No, because I mean, and we didn't want to feel guilt like, oh, because we pressured them to work. No, this happened. And then I was there in class and started spotting. And then a few hours later, we were gonna have our first class. And I told Andrea, you know what, I need to go to the hospital because I'm bleeding, like bleeding. And she's like, oh, you want me to go? You want me to close the school? I'm like, no, I'm gonna be okay. Most likely they're gonna put me to bed rest, like no big deal. And she's like, okay. I remember we didn't have a model, huh?
No. And I was the model that day. And I remember I'm the type of person that my face will tell you how I feel. So I remember sitting there being the model with my heart broken, not knowing what was going on because I couldn't get in the hospital because it was COVID times. And Gladys would just text us, and I was over here like trying to put a normal face because people don't need to know what you're going through, you know? And yeah.
And I remember telling her, just continue, carry on. We know I'm gonna be sent home and I'm gonna be in bed rest and we'll figure it out like we always have. And guess what? Like, no, I remember going to the emergency room there in Anaheim. It was a little one, and they're like, oh, we're gonna transfer you to a hospital because you're going to labor. I'm like, labor? Like, what do you mean? I'm only 20 weeks. Like, I cannot have the baby now. They're like, you're dilated 10. There's nothing we could do. So we went to the emergency room, and they're like, you know, we need to induce your pregnancy because you already open, so the baby is not gonna survive because she's too little. And I was like, I couldn't process that. I was like, no, like, can you do something? Me pueden coser or anything, like, you know, like, and then they couldn't let my mom in. They couldn't let my husband in until he had, like, to show proof that he had a negative test.
Yeah, because the vaccine wasn't even a
No,
thing yet.
it was, no, it was 2020. And I was like, and then they had it to test me if I had COVID before they could even transfer me to a room. So it was like a nightmare.
A trauma.
A big trauma because of the process of losing my baby, like knowing that she had a heartbeat and she was fine and I just dilated and opened like 10. I couldn't process that because for me, I'm always being the strong person. I always been like, you know, I'm gonna figure out. I'm gonna figure out. And me being in the back of the ambulance, I was telling Andrea, you know, how's class? You know, still like trying to, but in my prayers, I was like, save my baby if the school is not for me. like, take it. I don't want it. Like, but, you know.
I was like praying, take me and let her be a mom. Like, I think I lived a good life already. You know?
No, but I mean,
Well, you know, when you're going through things like that,
yeah.
you just, the emotions are like all over the place that you don't know what else to, you know, to do.
And me, I remember talking to my mom, and my mom was like, you know, they don't understand. Like, they don't understand you what you're hearing from the doctors. Like, basically, they're telling you there's nothing we could do. And me explaining to my mom, to my suegra, and they're like, no, like, tell them to this. I heard cases, like, you know, they were
They
trying
always
to
compare
find
other
like
cases. Yeah.
everything. I was like, no, I have no hope. I need to like
Go into labor.
into labor. And then I remember clearly, like, I couldn't make up my mind because I'm like, no, like, I just can't. I remember the doctor got the phone and like talked
Called
to my
my
mom
mom.
and be like, señora, si su hija no se alivia ahorita, está perdiendo mucha sangre, she's gonna die too. So it's like there's nothing we could do, and it is. I mean, so I was like, okay,
Because they
fine.
bleed for like 6 hours,
Yeah,
right?
I was like,
Yeah.
you know, it is what it is. But when I delivered at 1 in the morning, from 6 p.m. to 1 in the morning bleeding, that I decided, you know, I accept what God sent me, and the baby, when I delivered, she had no heartbeat. So I was like in a way relief because like she didn't suffer or anything, because they told me either she will come to this earth, and because we cannot put her in
NICU, she was too
NICU
small.
because she's too small, nothing's developed yet. If she would have been 23 weeks, she had a chance. If not, like right now she's only 20. So I was like, okay, I couldn't process, so I didn't cry. I was just like in shock. Like my husband cried.
I think
saw
she
her.
blocked it.
Yeah.
You blocked it. You just like, you didn't want to see the baby. You didn't want to, like, she just blocked it from her mind because she's like, well, this happened to me. It was my destiny. Now I have to carry on with my life.
Yeah, and
3 days later.
Yeah, and then I remember going home, and then I was like, why does my boob hurt so much? Like, there were in girls, like, you know, the body doesn't know if the baby survived or not. Like, I was like about to explode, and I was like crying and crying and crying. I was like, I couldn't, like, my depression was so big, my postpartum, because I mean, I was like I didn't understand what my body was going through, and I just like, what am I supposed to do? I mean, they prepare you to have a baby, but they don't prepare you for
For
a
the
loss.
after.
Yeah.
Or for a loss.
So I was like, you know, I don't know, like, if this is normal or what's going on. So I remember for like the first couple months, like, I couldn't even talk to you because I would talk, like, I would cry and cry and cry because I was like, I didn't understand why. I would think of everything I did. I was like, how about if I would be home? I would be rest.
Or what if I should have said no to the school?
Or
like,
maybe I picked that box. I don't remember picking.
did I do anything? Was I under a lot of stress? Technically, she analyzed everything that but it was just gonna happen.
Yeah.
You know, there was nothing you could do or could have done that was gonna make things change. You know?
Yes, and then I remember going to a retreat to Sedona, Andrea, my husband, and I, and that's when I think I healed, and I was like, I named her and everything, and I, you know, let her go. I was like, you know what, I accept you. I accept what happened to me, and I accept that it's not my fault. It was gonna happen, and because I accepted my pain, that's when I heal. So I always have it back on my mind. For you to heal, you need to feel. That was something that stayed in my head because I mean I'm human. Like, I need to feel. It's okay to, you know.
Oh, you're gonna make me cry.
No, I mean, it's okay to not be
I
perfect.
feel a little too much.
Yeah, and then that's when I finally was like, okay, let's carry on. And then God nunca se queda con nada y no se quedó con nada. December 2020, I was expecting Gianna, and I didn't know. I don't want
to like dinner. We could like summarize it, but yeah, she
Yeah.
had Gianna.
Yeah, so then no, there's more to this. I remember being so unhappy in the other school because I felt like it wasn't us.
Yeah, true.
I feel like we painted, I remember Halloween before even getting pregnant and still going to postpartum and depressed. We around this time, Halloween.
Yeah, oh my
today.
God.
We were
Today.
painting the school.
So maybe it was destined to talk about this today.
I know, that's
Crazy,
so crazy.
right?
We just
3
noticed.
years ago today.
Yeah, and we were painting the school because it had a lot of like
Black and white.
black, white. And I was like, you know what? Maybe we need to move the energy, paint something else, make it more us, because we have class on Halloween day. One student showed up, even though we stayed the whole night painting and making the school like ready for class the
We
next
used
day.
to have a Sunday morning class, and one person showed up.
Yeah. So we're like, you know what? We're never gonna do that again. Like if there's a holiday, there's a holiday.
There's
we're
no
not,
class.
There's no class because we were stressing about like, and everybody on Instagram doing parties, dressing up, having fun, and we're over here like painting the school because we wanted to remove the black. So going back, miserable me. Like I don't want to be in school. I don't want to do
She
anything with
used
school.
to quit on me like every other day, but in the back of my head, I'm like, I kind of made myself a promise that I was gonna work hard and prove her that we were gonna survive because, she just didn't like it.
Yeah, the rent was stupid expensive. Like we thought we were getting all this help. No, because we opened the business. We basically the other business went out of business, and we started Glad Glams from start because we're like, why are we gonna clean their name? Why are we gonna make it happen? Let's we purchase it. We already have the tools. Let's just make it ours. That's why Glad Glam was open technically August 2020, but the school had history of 6+ years, so we could be getting all this help through COVID,
PPP.
the PPP, the all the loans that they were getting, and you didn't need to pay back. We were too new, so we didn't qualify.
For nothing.
Mm-mm.
Literally.
And the owner of the building, he's like, you were closed from February to August. You got to
So
pay.
now we're gonna add it to your rent in January.
Yeah.
It was like, wow. Like, honestly, 2020, I feel like the small businesses, I'm pretty sure we're not the only ones, they couldn't catch a break.
Mm-mm.
You just couldn't catch a break.
And you're like, for what? Most of the girls that we helped, and we're like, you know what, we're gonna get you certified. We're gonna start a course. We were not making a dime from them because they had
Already paid off.
they were paid off. A lot of people were really ungrateful. They unfollow us later on, like the girl that were like, I'm not gonna say names, but yeah. So I was like, really, like you're over here pressuring
Honestly,
us?
sometimes when you're going through the darkest time, I feel like people, they see that you're struggling and they probably think like, oh, this person doesn't know what she's doing. So they use your, like, your sympathy to like step on you and buy. Some people don't have no pity. I'm not gonna sit here and say that everybody's bad because I also believe that there is good, but we're just telling you guys our story and how we learn. And this is why I have thick skin now. Like I feel like I could deal with all kinds of personality now and handle it. But before I would be like, oh my God, no.
Yeah, and honestly, that like helped us also with students because I would get attached to them.
Yeah.
Like them leaving, it was like, oh my God, like, and now it's like either pick for my knowledge, for my experience, apply it to yourself, and carry on. The doors are always gonna be open. But I'm not gonna be here expecting like having you over here, and then the day that you decide like, oh, they're not enough, push us away. I mean, because we had a lot of like students that are like, they kind of turn against you.
Yeah.
Like,
The thing is, I feel like it's just like an industry thing. Like, I'm pretty sure it happens in more than just this industry, but usually, like, the person that you kind of hold their hand and help them a little bit, they either see somebody else that has more experience or more money, and they're like, bye, girl. Everything you did for me, that doesn't matter. I'm
Yeah.
out, And now it doesn't bother us, but at one point it did.
Yeah.
Because we are humans.
no, and because we put our heart,
Heart and soul,
and
yeah.
like our experience. I remember like being postpartum, like, and I was still in school trying to make it happen. And then we had a student in December. She ended up finishing her course around on March because of COVID and a lot of like, it was a 20 weeks course. And I remember her like, oh, we were planning our first big graduation because we used to have like a one graduation for everybody, but that didn't work out because not everybody showed up. I mean, we still pay for a lot of things, and you just had like a small group, so we're like, that's not gonna work. And she's like, oh, I hosted in my building. I'm a property manager. I work in this building. It's in Santa Ana. Like, oh my God, we're from Santa Ana,
Yeah.
right? And she's like, yeah, come check it out. And then the space where we did the graduation was huge, like big. Like we're like, oh no, this is too
Way
big.
too big for us.
Like
Yeah, it
there's
was
no
too
way
much.
we could
Yeah.
do something here. And she's like, oh, come check out the first floor. There's a suite that's empty. Um, if you like
It's a
it,
decent size.
decent size. It's not as big as what we have, but because we had a restroom inside and we had
A
storage room and like
a little break room.
So I was like, but honestly, we never went to the back.
No.
It was so awkward. I was like either in the front and it was like a long class.
I feel like it was too big for us, and
Yeah.
maybe because we've always stayed humble to ourselves, we didn't know how to process. Boom, big.
Yeah.
It's like basically you just learn how to drive, and then you have a Lamborghini
Yeah.
outside. That's how I felt. I was like, what?
And
This
then
is-
without the support anymore, like we didn't have the person that was gonna stand behind us to help us manage the business. So I was like, and I wasn't happy. The drive was horrible. It was like a half an hour just to get there. I feel like if we wouldn't leave the house at a certain time, the time was gone. So I told Andrea I can check it out myself because her and her back of her head.
I guess you could say I was just so traumatized with all the legal shit that we went through that I was like, oh my god, we're gonna break a contract, we're gonna go to court, we're gonna be fucked. So it's always like, si te traumas, you
Sí.
know. And Gladys, she took initiative.
And
she
I was
came
pregnant, like una panzota, because I was already like
halfway through, almost,
almost
right?
6 months. I want to say, but I was like, there's no way I'm gonna have my baby being in the other school because I lost my first baby there. So me, like, I was determined to break the contract, and I came, checked out the space, and I was like, where can I give my deposit? And they're like, here. So I wrote the check, I gave them to them, and I was like, okay, we're just waiting for some permits for the city because it's gonna be a school, and we need to transfer everything from Anaheim to Santa Ana. It's two different schools. So from March, it happened into May. May, June, because all the things that we had to change. So thank you, Jasmine. Jasmine is one of our grads that introduced me to this space, and I finally read, and I was like, we have a solution. I think there's a solution to our problem. We're gonna start all over again.
And we've been here for 2.5 years.
Yeah. We're happy. Our space is not as big, but I feel like
It's us.
it's us. Like we are basically we remove a lot of the things from the back of the school. Obviously, you can't from the get go, but slowly we've been investing. This past 3 years, it's been more investment than anything. But I mean, we're also really grateful. 'Cause-
Investments, growth. I had to shut down my apparel brand, and I decided to just give it 100% focus to the school. And honestly, at first I felt like I was failing myself because in the back of my head when I started the brand, I was inspired by like Gymshark and all those brands, and I'm like, maybe I could be the next Gymshark or something, And I always thought like I failed myself, but I'm also a high believer that things happen for a reason, and sometimes those reasons are the biggest blessing in disguise. So
And I also think like people needs to be like when it's your time to shut down something, it's okay. It's
Let
okay
it
to
go.
be like let it go because, like for example, like at Chandra, we have the school now. We don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. If we grow out of it or we decide to go a different route, let's not like hold on something because we get attached. So I learned how to detach from things
yeah.
and not get attached to something because I always believe like como te lo dan, te lo quitan. No, like not necessarily saying
And we're
like
also
that's
here
gonna
for a
happen.
good time and not a
Nah,
long
a
time.
good time, not a long time. So I had learned from people, from entrepreneurs that like when it's time to let go because I seen scenarios where had like a client that didn't want to shut down her restaurant. It was going really bad, really like she wasn't even paying anymore, and like to the point where you lose everything just because you had that ego in you that I'm not gonna go out of business. That could be bad.
I think it's also like kind of like machismo that you don't want to fail yourself. So
But it's not
honestly-
failing, it's
and
experience.
Yeah, like when I closed it, I focused 100% on the school. I tried doing other things on the side, and it was just not for me.
Yeah.
It wasn't. And when I focused everything here, like I gave it my heart, my soul, everything pretty much, I started connecting with brands like MAC, Make It Forever, House of Lashes, like, but not just connecting, like literally building a relationship, Kiehl's, like getting recognized.
honestly,
accredited, like a lot of
the
things.
recognition, like when we got the email, we got it September 9th, 8th. It was a lot of things happening in September for us that we were like, oh my God, how can we process all this?
Yeah.
We got the email like, hey, we're trying to reach you guys. You guys are recognized in the city of Santa Ana as one of the top schools in that
And
technical.
you never hear me and Gladys say we're the best,
Oh,
because
no.
we don't like to be like that. We never like to label ourselves. We never like to look at anybody else. Yes, we're aware that there's a lot of people doing the same thing that we do. Y el sol sale para todos, and there's space for everybody.
Yeah, and no
That's
solo
one thing
eso,
that we
yeah.
don't do, and we're never like, oh, let me go see what so and so is
Because
doing.
you cannot
No,
compare
honey.
your day one to their 365 days. It's the different. Like you cannot go from, like I just started to someone that is already in the business for 10 years. That's impossible because, I mean, it's a big old gap. It's
Yeah.
like 10 years of experience. But what I always see and I always say, siempre tienes que ser mejor que ayer. Siempre tienes que ser mejor que ayer. For your personal life, for your business, for anything. So our focus always be like, how can we improve? That's why we're always making changes, because we always go back and be like, we don't want to make it like, oh, okay, we're just getting money. We're becoming greedy. It's like, how can we connect to our students, to our city now that we're more in the community? I feel like, I mean, we're out there in Santa Ana High School. Like, we had some sponsors. We have given free courses
Yes.
that we haven't published and be like, oh, okay, por nosotros estudiantes. No, no,
No.
no. We never been like that, because I feel like we could provide, and it's up to you if you want to
And
apply
also,
it.
you just never know who you're gonna need from.
Yeah.
Like, that's always been something in the back of my head. Like, we've never been the type to show off. People might have a perspective of you because it's normal. Keep in mind that social media, you only show what you choose
Yeah.
to
Y el
show.
que no se busca ayuda, a mí como dice, no pidas, como no esperes, like, que todo te baje del cielo si no lo buscas. Like, there's resources, and like, in other words, in English, it's like, don't expect everything to like just fall into your hands. No, you need to look for it. You need to build it. You need to like see if that's something is gonna work out or not.
And also, don't do it for money. Like, if you do something and you're like, oh, I'm gonna be driving a Mercedes, I'm gonna be rich, that's not
We
gonna work.
never, ever, ever, ever count on anything, because I always tell Andrea, the business pay for itself. We are an employee. We do not like touch it or swipe it or because.
And
we,
honestly, I'm glad I have her here because she has that experience, like self-employed experience. Because I feel like I would be more like, like I went
she
through.
was doing that.
Yeah,
like
I went through
our
my phase
graduations.
where like I was just
"Drea,
buying things,
You really don't need a freaking like special table clock. I mean, save that money. Like, don't be too like, you want to do everything pink. She was buying like trash cans, bags, pink. I was like,
with scent.
Hmm?
They were scented.
oh, there you go. I was like, I know, like, it's all about like being, presentation matters. I always say it, like, you want to be aesthetically pleasing and all that. But I'm like, really, on a bag of trash? Like, trash bag? I'm like, no, it's not going to happen. I'm not going to allow you. But not that I manage my money so well, because yo también compro lo pendejo, but, or throw parties, like, and it's most of the time it's me by myself, help from my husband and Andrea, because ya está, like, it's already there. And it's like, okay, well,
Fine, let's just
finally.
pay.
But I mean, going back to that, I tell Andrea, no, the business is a business. So she has her salary. If she works, it doesn't work, she's screwed. Like, sometimes she'll be like, I want to go to Mexico. I'm like, okay, go, but you're not getting paid because you don't have PTO.
Okay, girl.
But she does the same to me. I teach the Thursday class for a whole year. I didn't pay myself. And Tandra's like, no, you're an employee, so you need to pay yourself. So she started paying myself. It's not a lot. Maybe I think I'm
The lowest
the
pay.
lowest pay. But because I'm like, it stays in the school. And if the school is okay and it has its money to.
It's because
do
what
things.
people need to understand, that if you open up a business and you start putting that money in yourself, like buying things, buying designer, then you're gonna fail.
Yeah.
Point blank, period.
It's good to reward yourself because
Well,
I do it.
If
Like,
the
I buy
profit
myself
is there,
yeah.
then reward yourself.
I buy myself like a designer when like I do like after open enrollment, like things like that, because it's like I earned this. Like, this is what I when you give me something, I'm like, oh, it's not, I didn't earn that, but I don't go crazy buying all these things. Like, I hardly even do my nails because, I want to keep it short and simple. But, I mean, I do pay for other memberships, like to get massages and things like that.
It's more like a self-care type of thing.
Self-care, I mean, I do it, but doesn't mean I go crazy. It's just time consuming to sit down and do my nails. So I always ask, hey, who does nails? Come to the school and I could get them here.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's our story. It's too much to go through, but like honestly, everything that we have gone through is just making us stronger. And even though we have our traumas and we have our problems, like we leave those behind. We don't bring them to the school because we want this space to be like our happy place. Like I brought my daughter, you guys saw how like she wasn't still, but I mean, I'm not gonna punish her for being a baby. I mean, I have her toys here, diapers, I have everything written in the office. Like when my kids come, they could be themselves and not be like, oh my God. But we have tried bringing like having the students bring their kids, but sometimes they go out of hand. So it's just something that I don't think we want to do anymore because people don't respect and they don't have boundaries. So I feel like we cannot be too nice either.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, this is our journey. We're still going with it. We're still learning, and that's why I always tell the students, when you become a glad
No se
doll,
está grabando.
when you become a glad
Hold
doll,
on, se pagó. Yeah?
okay, when you become a glad glam doll, it's like your family, whether you stick around or not, your family. So
I do take
want
it personal though. When you leave, okay? Don't
I
come
mean,
back.
this
Just
is
kidding.
the thing. We cannot force people to.
No, it's not that. It's just
No somos para todos, and it's okay.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
something
you know?
that we learned. Like
And that's something that we accepted, because me and Gladys, my mom raised us to have like an open door policy, and we like to like hug
now
you
we
and-
learn how to cut people
Yeah, cut
when
cords.
we like if it's not for if I bring you to the business because I want you to sell something, offer a service, and it's not working with my business, we're gonna let you go. We're gonna be like, you know what, this is not working. Not because we're bitches and I mean, not nice. It's just because at the end of the day,
You gotta do what's best for you.
we paying the rent. We doing
Yeah,
everything.
point blank,
So,
period. You know.
so in other words,
so
we bring
that's
that
what-
up because like some people do want like oh my God, they have this and they never no. It's not that we don't
And
want to
honestly,
help.
a business is supposed to develop. It's supposed to grow. If you stay the same, then that's kind of sad, you know? So yeah, for sure, we have an open door policy, and, you know, we want our students to always see us as a resource, help us. So it's not that we're being hard on yourself, but if we believe in you and if we could do it, you can too.
Of course. Mira, le tengo la camisa
And this
super
is our
big
reality.
because we wanted her to wear a Glad Glam shirt, but we're gonna custom make a shirt for Miss Boss right here. And she comes and she knows this is her school. Or she
Yeah.
says it's Ninas. ¿De quién es la escuela? ¿Eh? ¿De quién es esta escuela? Ajá. ¿Qué es esto?
¿De quién es esto?
Su Nina. So su mamá no puso nada aquí.
Nada.
No, Nina.
Nina.
You know, and
Give me
like,
5.
and we discipline her. Si quiere algo del enfrente, tiene que comprarlo. Yo también. I purchase my own things because it's like, it's Glad Glam. That person, whoever Glad Glam is, she's something
Me
else.
and Gladys treat Glad Glam like if she's like a third person and she's like the boss, you know? It's like somebody else. It's not us.
Okay, so we're gonna wrap it up because we have a baby that is Halloween and we're gonna go dress her up and we'll probably share
And
a
thank you
picture.
guys for tuning in. Bye.